It's in the air, isn't it? This feeling around Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like things are,
Heating up.
yeah, exactly. After months of sideways movement, it seems like something's brewing. People are talking about a major breakout, and we're gonna dig into all of that today. See if this is, the real deal.
Yeah, is this it? Is this the breakout we've all been waiting for, or is this another,
Another head fake.
another head fake? Yeah. To really figure that out, we got to look at the technicals.
Right. And speaking of technicals, one chart that's caught everyone's attention is the RSI,
Of course, yeah.
the relative strength index, for those who might not be familiar.
Right.
And basically, it measures how quickly and how intensely Bitcoin's price is changing. And what's fascinating is, for the first time in over 200 days, the RSI has broken through a critical trend line.
Yeah, this is definitely more than just, like a small blip on the radar.
Right.
A break like this usually suggests that, sentiment is shifting. We could be moving from hesitant to like full-blown euphoric.
Yeah.
But there's a catch.
Right.
A high RSI like we're seeing, it can also mean, the market's getting a little ahead of itself. We might be in overbought territory.
Okay, so you're saying it could be a sign of a correction. Like what does that mean exactly?
So think of it like a car accelerating too fast.
Okay.
It might feel great in the moment, but
You might go off the road.
yeah, you could spin out of control.
Okay, so the RSI, it's giving us a mixed message here. It's exciting, but it's also making us a little bit cautious. What about some other indicators? Are they telling a similar story?
They are, actually. So let's look at the stochastic RSI. This takes the RSI and it smooths it out over a shorter time frame.
Right.
And this helps spot those overbought, oversold conditions even faster.
Okay.
And get this, the stochastic RSI, 2 fakeouts back to back.
Okay, before we go any further, for
Sure.
our listeners who might not be as familiar with trading lingo, can you just break down quickly what a fake out is?
Yeah, of course. Imagine Bitcoin's price is like surging upwards, looks like it's going to hit a new high, and then
Yeah.
boom, at the last second, it pulls back, closes below that key level. So it's like a false breakout. It's a head fake
Yeah.
that can really, trap traders who bought into all that hype.
Right.
So 2 fake outs in a row, that's not very common.
So that's a pretty unusual pattern. What do you make of that?
It tells me there's a real struggle for control happening right now, between the buyers and the sellers.
Just push and pull.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You got the bulls, they think Bitcoin's going up, and the bears, well, they think it's going down. Right now, neither side has the upper hand.
It's like a tug of war.
Exactly.
And if we add the 21-day moving average into the mix,
Right.
or the 21-day SMA,
Yes, exactly.
which is another way you might hear it, things get really interesting.
They do, because that 21-day moving average, it acts like this line in the sand
Yeah.
between, bullish and bearish sentiment.
Right.
And Bitcoin has been really struggling to break above this line for weeks now. So again, that just adds to the whole, we don't really know which way it's going to go.
It's like it's standing at the edge of a diving board trying to get the courage to jump in.
100%. And then, just to add another layer of intrigue to all of this, we have a major trend line breakthrough.
Okay.
This line has been acting like a ceiling, holding Bitcoin back for
Yeah.
months. And then just recently, boom, it smashes right through it.
Okay, but I noticed you said intriguing. You didn't say exciting.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a but coming here.
you know me too well.
Yeah.
So while breaking through that resistance level, that is a big deal. That's a very bullish signal.
Right.
We really need to see some confirmation
Right.
before we start, doing the victory dance.
So not time to declare victory for the bulls just yet.
Not just yet.
Okay, so what should we be looking for in the coming days? What's going to tell us whether this is the real deal or just another false alarm? And what does history tell us about how Bitcoin tends to behave when we see these kinds of setups? We'll dive into all of that right after this. So we've got all these signals, some bullish, some a little more cautious. But haven't we seen this before with Bitcoin? This feeling that something big is about to happen?
It's true, this current setup, with the sideways movement followed by that surge.
Yeah.
It does feel familiar. It actually reminds me of 2019.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Right before Bitcoin went on that incredible run.
Yeah, that's when it hit that all-time high, right?
Exactly.
It was.
Everyone was talking about it.
It was huge. But, and this is important,
Okay.
we can't just assume that history is going to repeat itself.
The past can give us some clues,
Yeah.
but it doesn't guarantee the future. And there are other moments in Bitcoin's history that we should probably look at too, some that weren't so positive.
Like what Give me an example.
Let's go back to early 2020,
Okay.
the COVID crash.
Right, right.
Markets were in free fall. Nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin, well, it crashed too, along with everything else.
Mm.
But here's the thing. That 21-day moving average that we were talking about before,
Yeah.
it acted as this ceiling, this resistance level that Bitcoin just couldn't break through.
So just like what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, exactly. It kept trying to get above that line, but it couldn't hold the momentum.
So are you saying we could see a repeat of that?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we need to be cautious.
Okay.
Look, the past can guide us,
Right.
but it's the present that really matters. We have to look at what's happening right now to figure out where Bitcoin's going.
So what should we be paying attention to in the next few days to know if this breakout is for real?
Confirmation, that's the key word. Experienced traders, they wait for confirmation before they make any big moves.
They don't just jump in because it feels good in the moment.
Exactly. And in this case, we really want to see how Bitcoin behaves relative to that trend line that it broke through.
The one it just broke through. Yeah.
Yes. Can it close above that line on Sunday? That's what we need to see,
Sunday. Why Sunday?
because that's when the weekly candle closes.
Right, right. Just for our listeners who might not know, what is a weekly candle?
So a candle, it's just a way of visualizing Bitcoin's price over a specific period of time. And in this case, a weekly candle shows us the highest price, the lowest price, where it opened, and where it closed,
Okay, so it's for the whole week.
the whole week. And that closing price, that's what really matters. If Bitcoin closes above that trend line on Sunday,
Yeah.
that's a strong sign that the buyers are in control.
Okay, so Sunday's the big day.
Big day. And if it does close above the trend line,
Yeah, then what? What happens if we get that confirmation?
then things get really exciting. There are a couple of price levels that we're going to be watching very, very closely.
So Sunday, it's decision day for Bitcoin. Let's say it closes above the trend line, we get that confirmation. What happens next? Where could this thing go?
Well, the first hurdle is going to be $70,000. That's a big number.
Yeah.
So, psychologically, it means a lot.
Right.
And if Bitcoin can't break through that convincingly,
Yeah.
this whole rally could, lose some steam.
Okay.
But if it does break through, if
Yeah.
it powers through $70,000, then things get really interesting.
And then we're looking at that next resistance level.
Exactly. $74,000, that's the next big test.
Yeah.
And if Bitcoin can not just break through $74,000, but close above it, like a strong close,
Yeah.
that would be a huge win for the bulls.
Right.
I mean, that could be the start of a whole new bull market. We could see Bitcoin, making a run for those all-time highs.
Wow. Yeah. Back to like 2021 levels.
Potentially, yeah. It'll
Yeah.
definitely be big news.
It'd be huge. Everyone would be talking about it. But, we've been talking about the technicals.
Right.
But those aren't the only thing that matter, right?
Absolutely. Technicals are important. They give us a roadmap.
Yeah.
But there are other factors, things happening in the real world that could have a big impact on where Bitcoin goes.
Right. Like what kinds of things should our listeners be paying attention to?
Regulation, that's a big one.
Right.
How governments around the world decide to regulate crypto, that's going to play a huge role.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, positive regulation,
Right.
that could bring in more investors,
Yeah.
more people would feel comfortable.
Right.
But then, on the flip side, if governments crack down, stricter rules or even bans in some places, that could really hurt Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like Bitcoin's trying to find its place in the world.
Yeah, totally.
Like it's this new country trying to figure out, how to get along with everyone else.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And then you've got adoption.
Right. Right. How many businesses are actually using it?
Exactly. The more businesses, the more people using it in their daily lives,
Yeah.
the higher the demand, the higher the price could go.
So keep an eye on when big companies make announcements.
Exactly. Especially those tech companies,
Right.
financial institutions.
So it's about more than just the charts.
It's about the real world impact.
It's about how Bitcoin's actually being used.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the macro environment, the big picture, the global economy.
Right. If the economy's doing well,
Exactly.
Bitcoin probably does well too.
Yeah. But if we go into a recession, all bets are off.
It's like trying to predict the weather,
A little bit. Yeah.
but with digital currency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's complex, but that's what makes it so fascinating.
It's never boring, that's for sure.
Never.
So as we wrap things up here, what are the big takeaways? What do you want our listeners to remember?
First and foremost, don't rely on technical analysis alone. It's a tool. It's not a crystal ball.
Right. It can't predict the future.
Exactly. And speaking of the future,
Yeah.
Please, please be careful out there.
Yes, invest responsibly.
Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Bitcoin, it's still a volatile asset. It can go up, it can go down, sometimes very quickly.
So manage your risk, do your research, stay informed. Exactly. Keep an eye on those price levels we talked about, but also pay attention to everything else that's happening. Regulation, adoption, the global economy, it all matters.
So much to keep track of. Well, one thing's for sure, it's never dull in the world of Bitcoin. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.